Kate, the people's princess of excitement that raced through the crowd. Kate, the people's princess of Wales.
Thank you also for inviting me here today.
The dutiful royal who never puts a foot wrong.
She's been perfect. She has done really an outstanding job.
Fashion icon and our future queen, Kate is one of the most photographed women in the world.
When you consider that she had to deal with all of the press intrusion, you really see the steeliness of Kate.
And some pictures are now seared into the history books.
I just can't say how much I adore this photograph because it epitomises Kate as a future queen.
Each one a unique snapshot of Kate and her extraordinary royal journey. September 2024. Catherine, Princess of Wales, releases a new video about her cancer recovery journey. It's an update the world has been waiting for.
The cancer journey is complex, scary and unpredictable for everyone, especially those closest to you.
Ill health is no respecter of age or rank or wealth. If it can be the Princess of Wales, it can be any of us.
The 3-minute video foregrounds Kate's devotion to her family.
To reflect and be grateful for the simple yet important things in life.
The British are at their best when they have what you would call the Blitz spirit. Catherine exhibits that. You just keep going.
In its sumptuous style, Kate's video is one of the most sophisticated methods of sending a message to the nation that the royal family has ever adopted.
She's deliberately picked a setting that's very non-regal. This is just her in a situation, and it is conveying thought and meaning, and it's a great sort of relationship between her and us, I think.
Despite the health traumas she's faced, Kate has perfected the art of using videos and pictures to guide us in how we should think about her and her family.
Kate, Catherine, as we must now call her, has been very careful in her public image, in her iconography, how we access her image. That has been very tightly controlled, really, I would say, particularly over the last 10 years.
It's taken Kate 2 decades to take control of her life in pictures. But at the start of her royal journey, in 2002, she had no such influence. That's when the timeline of her most iconic pictures begins, with a photograph that captures the moment her life changes forever.
Here we are at St Andrews University. It's the first year of the then Kate Middleton's degree in art history.
Kate agreed to take part in a fashion show, which was a fundraiser for the families and victims of the Twin Towers disaster of the previous September. She agreed to wear this dress, which apparently was supposed to be a long, floaty skirt, and on the day she decided to pull it up and make it into a sort of sheath dress rather than a skirt.
She had a great figure, but she never showed it off. She'd always sort of hide it under knitwear and jumpers and jeans. That was how she was most comfortable.
Even at 1920, it still takes a huge amount of confidence to literally strip off to a bandeau top and some black pants and effectively stride out semi-naked in front of all of your university peers.
If Kate's behaviour suggests she has an inner core of confidence, experts believe the signs are visible, even in this photograph.
This is a woman that we've seen for years wearing the Duchenne smile, the perfect royal smile. But here, she's actually very straight-faced, but straight-faced in the way that a model would be. It's a very confident Vogue magazine look that she's managing to wear really well here. One of the signs of confidence is the gap under the armpit. When we're feeling very nervous, very under threat, that's the self-diminishing, where the arms are sealed against the body, that we see a lot. But when we see the shoulders lowered and then that slight gap that appears under the armpits, that's the right level of confidence. And it's quite extraordinary that Kate, who was not a model, would be able to convey that confidence wearing a see-through dress.
What's more, Kate knew that a special guest was in the audience. She was studying the same art history degree course as Prince William, though he later switched to geography. They had been friends for months, but by most accounts, Kate's appearance at this fashion show marked the turning point in their relationship.
She sashayed down the runway, sassy Kate. William is reported to have said apocryphally to his friends, "Wow, Kate's hot." And I mean, yeah, who could fail to be moved by the very slender, very long-legged, lithe Kate Middleton striding down the runway in a see-through skirt? The narrative that's grown up around this picture is that this charity catwalk show inspired William to see the then Kate Middleton in a different light.
I guess William thought, wow, she's willing to step out on the diving board and take a leap like that. Maybe she might be the person who might be my partner or help me through this mad life I was born into.
This is a rare example of a really candid picture that tells us a lot about her personality. Carefree, feeling very confident.
Later that evening, there's an after party, and William decides to make a move on Kate. She is dating someone else at the time, so she rebuffs his advances. But obviously that, for her, is the seed that there is an interest there from William, who she's always been very close to. She's got this lovely friendship with, and a romance did eventually flourish. So it was a really important occasion for the two of them.
Kate and William started dating soon afterwards, and they were able to keep their romance private for 2 years. But when the press found out in 2004, Kate suddenly had to face the drama of becoming one of the most photographed women in the world.
Once Kate became a thing, once her name appeared, once she was associated with William, as early as those university days, she was never going to be left alone.
When Kate Middleton began dating Prince William in the early noughties, she took her first tentative steps into royal life. Their love story intrigued the public, and Kate was now regularly photographed, adjusting to living her life through a lens.
When you consider that she had to deal with all of the press intrusion, the harassment, the photographers camped outside her door, you really see the steeliness of Kate. You really see what she's made of.
Their on-off relationship lasted nearly a decade, while the question of whether or not William would ever propose led to Kate being given an unflattering nickname by the press.
The whole weighty Katie thing was so cruel, actually, to be honest. Why had she hung around? Why was she hanging around?
This was a couple who'd been dating for a long time, who everyone had hoped it was going to end with a royal engagement. It did take its time, and when it happened, it was a really, really big moment.
On the 16th of November 2010, the world finally got the story it had been waiting for, with the official announcement of Kate and William's engagement. Adding to the growing photo record of Kate's life, the moment was truly captured by one image. The couple's beautifully tender formal engagement portrait, taken by celebrity photographer Mario Testino in St. James's Palace. A striking image seen across the globe.
I think the thing that stands out about that picture is what a happy and relaxed couple they are. I mean, it's clear when you look at that they were in love. It's as simple as that. They were a happy couple in love. They look content and calm. Perfect young couple.
I think the amount of time that they'd known one another is very reflected here, very like-minded. They also present very much as two equals who were genuinely in love because they knew one another's personalities.
She looks like his friend. I mean, that's the part that's reassuring. She looks like a good friend, and she looks like she'll take care of him. No matter what he's got to go through, she will take care of him.
The way that she is here performing, that pitch-perfect smile, that royal smile even now, I think must have been very reassuring for him that he could now almost share that burden of destiny with somebody that got it in the same way that he did.
While she could have been overwhelmed by the occasion, the photograph points to Kate expressing herself more openly than her fiancé.
Interestingly, I think that William looks more nervous in this picture than Kate. I think Kate looks very confident. She's obviously very happy. And it's William who's a little bit more nervous.
His body language and his smiles in particular tend to be rather suppressed even now. He's still being slightly guarded because he doesn't want to give too much away. I think William was very haunted in a way, but also very aware of the fact that he didn't want to repeat what had happened to his mother or even to his father. So I think his caution is actually more visible than hers here.
William felt firsthand the pain of his parents' public divorce and his mother's tragic early death, so his caution is understandable. The infamous footage from Charles and Diana's awkward engagement announcement in 1981 could have been an omen of things to come.
And I suppose in love.
Of course.
Whatever in love means.
It's in stark contrast to the fun and easy chemistry between Kate and William as they happily talked about the moment William proposed during a holiday in Kenya.
We've been talking about marriage for a while, so it wasn't a massively big surprise, but I took her up somewhere nice in Kenya and proposed.
It's very romantic. There's a true romantic in that.
There is.
This was an important engagement interview and she'd had very little training for it. I think you can see that flutter of nervousness along with all the excitement they wanted to share with the world.
Kate and William already seemed on a stronger path than Diana and Charles. But their tender engagement portrait showed that they didn't want to break completely with the past.
Kate is wearing the engagement ring that William gave to her, which was a ring that belonged to Princess Diana. And that's really front and centre in the picture as well.
I mean, the presence of Diana was always going to be something that people would talk about in the relationship between Kate and William. Was Kate conscious of Diana's presence almost? And she was, and she thought it was very, very important.
Connected by family history, William and Kate candidly discussed the significance of the precious heirloom during their revealing engagement interview.
I thought it was quite nice because obviously she's not going to be around to share any of the fun and excitement of it all. This was my way of keeping her sort of close to it all.
So the fact that she was able to wear Diana's engagement ring was hugely significant for her, and, you know, it sort of brought the family, if you like, squaring the circle.
Well, I just hope I look after it.
She loses,
but
she's in big trouble.
it's very, very special.
I mean, in a way that's got to weigh quite heavily, but also be very flattering as well. Again, it's that like-minded. Not only does she get William, does she understand William, she also understands his history and she understands him emotionally when it comes to his mother and his mother's death as well.
That ring just dominated everything. So I think when you look at this picture, or indeed any of the series of engagement pictures that were taken of the couple, that ring is so focal.
It's as if William is saying, my mother would have approved of her. You like her because my mother would have liked her. And so the ring carries all of that symbolism.
This iconic engagement portrait marked the official start of their journey together. The next photo in Kate's story would seal her bond with William, symbolizing their bright future and the future of the monarchy on a glorious day in April 2011.
I think this is one of my favourite pictures, just because it's just a moment of pure joy. You know, it's this young couple at the start of their life together as husband and wife.
Kate Middleton married Prince William on the 29th of April 2011, sparking joyous scenes to rival those of any previous royal wedding.
Everybody wanted a fairy tale wedding, didn't they? And they got it. It was an extraordinary day, and for a lot of us, all the more extraordinary, because I don't think many of us expected there was going to be the mass public reaction that there was. There was a feeling, actually, we've changed a little bit. The deference has gone out of our society a little bit. We're not all going to be going bonkers at this wedding. Wrong, we all went bonkers.
Kate's stylish and beautiful wedding dress is reported to have cost £250,000 and was designed by Sarah Burton for Alexander McQueen.
A genius choice. It's a British fashion house, steeped in history, very on point. A huge amount of detail had gone into the dress itself and the veil, which had been stitched with the rose, the thistle, the shamrock and the daffodil to represent all of the corners of the United Kingdom.
This very thoughtful iconography, I think, shows us how seriously Kate took her new role. She knew she'd be representing the UK, both at home and abroad, and that was really sort of signified from day one on her wedding dress.
Anticipation built to fever pitch as the crowds awaited the traditional royal newlyweds appearance on the balcony of Buckingham Palace. And when the couple finally emerged, Kate's reaction said it all.
When she walked out on the balcony and saw everybody, we could literally see her mime the word wow. And that was such a human telling moment.
You have to remember, this is the first time that Kate has ever stepped out onto that balcony. And when you see it from that perspective, you can only imagine what it must have been like for her. I mean, the applause was thunderous when the newlyweds stepped out onto the balcony. But it was even more thunderous when they kissed.
This highly anticipated moment, their first kiss, was captured in a picture that defined the day.
I think this kiss kind of symbolises everything. It was perfectly balanced. They kissed straight on the lips, and that's a sign of familiarity. It's the sort of thing that you would do with a partner, but not in front of millions of people and the rest of the world and a load of photographers. To be able to kiss in this way that just looks immaculate.
If you compare pictures of William and Kate's balcony kiss to Charles and Diana, I think it's clear that William and Kate were certainly more in love and certainly more relaxed on their big day than William's parents were, absolutely.
They knew that they were going to be photographed, so they understood what they were doing, and it's incredibly powerful. It brings a warmth and an empathy. The previous generations of the royal family were much more conservative in that sense. So, you know, it reflects a sea change within the royal family.
William and Kate's wedding day was watched by 24 million viewers in the UK and millions more overseas. The world had been captivated by their storybook romance, as Kate was the first commoner in more than 350 years to marry a prince in the direct line of succession to the throne.
She knows what she has to do, and she does it. And she allows for the British public to see the royal family as this continuity, as this constant, as this sort of institution that won't go away.
William and Kate were now the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, titles conferred on them by the Queen as a sign of her gratitude and affection. This image sealed their love and their royal status. And the next photo in Kate's story from 2012 highlights just how close she and the Queen would become.
If I was to have a kind of favourite royal picture, I think this would probably be it, because it so captures the relationship of the late Queen and Kate. We didn't normally see the Queen looking that happy unless she was watching horse racing, which was her favourite thing. But here she is with Kate, completely at ease, and Kate completely at ease with her.
2012 marked the Diamond Jubilee of Queen Elizabeth II. As she toured the UK to celebrate with the British public, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge were a notable presence, deputising for the ill Prince Philip, revealing how supportive they now were to the monarch. They visited Vernon Park in Nottingham to watch a children's charity fun day.
The Queen and Kate are sat next to each other, and William is trying to fire a pistol to start the children's race. And the Queen absolutely loves it when things don't go to plan.
On your marks, get set.
The starting gun hadn't gone off, so you've got this wonderful image of the Queen wondering what on earth is going on. And what's so lovely is not only is the Queen's face completely lit up as she's burst into spontaneous laughter, you can see how much Kate is enjoying this moment as well. And I think shows the warmth that very much existed between the two of them.
It also captures how sensitive and how sensible Kate was in her dealings with the Queen.
First of all, they're mirroring each other in their outfits. They're both wearing shades of blue, but the Duchess of Cambridge will not overshadow the Queen. The Queen's in the brighter colour.
I don't think that's a coincidence. And for me, this is a subtle nod of deference from the younger woman to the monarch.
This snapshot of a shared moment shows just how Kate, having only recently married into the family, was balancing respect with growing friendship.
I think Kate's relationship with the late Queen and how it worked is absolutely fascinating. Because Kate, in a way, played it by stealth. She wasn't overly ingratiating, she wasn't pushy, but then gradually, we could see the friendship building between the two women. We've got the Queen actually is almost influenced by Kate to show her sense of humour. She's having a wonderful time here, she's laughing. The Queen did not frequently show that face in public. And Kate, her body language is so complimentary because you can see her face watching the Queen, encouraging her to laugh but not pushing it. I think we're also seeing signals here of Kate being the Queen's confidant. Kate's expression to the Queen is quite intimate. She's sharing the giggle with the Queen, and we shouldn't really underestimate that.
The photo is an early indicator of the growing role that Kate would play in the royal family, and the building of trust under the Queen's nurturing guidance.
For her, this is a big moment. She is by the Queen's side, deliberately so. It was Queen Elizabeth's absolute intention to show Kate the ropes, to be there for her, to take her out on engagements and show her how it was done. And Kate was a very willing and able apprentice.
I think the Queen really admired Kate. I think she admired her for her ability never to put a foot wrong. She did try and hit the ground running. She learnt slowly and carefully how it was to be a royal.
Do you like chocolate?
I love chocolate, yes. I think most girls like chocolate.
I think Queen Elizabeth II really came to rely on the Duchess of Cambridge, knowing that she would be efficient and always show up for events, knowing they were quite similar in personality. They had quite a special relationship.
As Kate's life in pictures reveals, she was now a significant member of the royal family. Little did she realize that the arrival of a new sister-in-law would be a sign of trouble on the horizon.
There is no doubt that the relationship soured very quickly and very unpleasantly.
A few years into her marriage to Prince William, Kate was really making her mark and was the constant focus of cameras wherever she went. But the time had come for the Cambridges to think of their duty and the future of their royal dynasty.
The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, absolutely, with their wedding and with their marriage, symbolised the new phase and new era of the royal family. And of course, when the Duchess of Cambridge announced her pregnancy, everybody was super excited.
Prince George was born on the 22nd of July 2013, and within hours of his birth, the Cambridges presented him to royal fans and journalists, resulting in another celebrated picture that forms part of Kate's story. The whole world was waiting for this photo opportunity.
I spent 50 years as a reporter, and I've seen some circuses in my time. But the circus awaiting the birth of Prince George was in a league of its own. People had been waiting outside that hospital for weeks, including the media. And there were members of the public sleeping outside the hospital. It was nuts.
This was a very, very hot July. I remember it very clearly. I remember it being called the Great Kate Wait because it was a long labour for Kate.
The media speculation was absolutely wild. Would it be a boy or girl? What the name of the baby would be? Babies have been born before, but this was a lot of fury for a baby to be born in, certainly.
Just as Kate's venture onto the fashion show catwalk had once indicated her nerves of steel, her picture with baby George also sends a message. The Duchess knew she would be leaving footsteps in history, and so the picture had to look just right.
Kate is very much in first-time mum mode here. You would imagine that she'd got a Ming vase wrapped up in that blanket. I mean, she was being very careful. And can you manage? This is going to be the heir to the throne as well. I mean, no pressure.
You're standing there with your new baby, and your tummy's still round from the pregnancy, and she's standing there in heels, and she knew that that picture was going to be memorable because she was holding an heir to the throne.
William had got his sleeves rolled up, took George from Kate and did not make it look like he'd been handed a grenade with the pin out.
When they stepped out with the infant George, Kate and William recreated a famous moment from history. Prince Charles and Princess Diana had introduced William on the same steps in 1982. Kate knew the significance and seemed to echo Diana's style in a similar polka dot dress by Jenny Packham.
She made sure that for this picture that she knew would be a very important picture, she's wearing Diana's ring. I mean, I'm amazed it still fitted because obviously when you're pregnant, your hands put on weight. And of course, she's wearing blue, but Kate and William didn't know the gender of their firstborn until he arrived.
Was there a reference to Diana in all of this? Kate wearing a very similar polka dot dress? Yes, perhaps there was. Diana's presence is not forgotten.
Prince George was followed by Princess Charlotte in 2015 and Prince Louis in 2018. Though the Cambridges agreed to pose with their newborn babies, as the press and public demanded, the royal couple slowly developed a new strategy for the way in which their children would be photographed.
Kate's a very keen photographer. But she hasn't always been a completely popular photographer because there came a time when pictures of Prince William's family and children which had traditionally been taken by press photographers, that stopped. And the pictures that were released of the children, those pictures were actually taken by Kate. There were questions here about controlling the media, controlling what was put out.
Kate, I think, is using photography because it's something that she's familiar with. By releasing her own photographs, she can be confident that, those pictures are going to be in the public domain and in a way that she wants them to be, rather than having been caught by paparazzi, for example.
They were very forceful when George was first born, that any pictures, any picture that they hadn't authorised was never to be printed. Through pursuing the photographers, through Kate giving out these images of her own children, they managed to kill the market and ensured that their family, their children, had a very, very private, and continue to have a very private childhood compared to their father.
Through Kate's photography and a careful choice of public photo calls, the couple were now helping to decide which images would make a lasting impression. But Kate's life story and pictures has occasionally been subject to the quirks of fate, as with this famous picture taken on Christmas Day 2017. Enter the Fab Four, Kate and William, joined by Meghan and Harry.
I think I'm right in saying it remains the first definitive Fab Four picture.
William's younger brother, Prince Harry, had been dating American actress Meghan Markle since July 2016, after being introduced by one of his friends. They'd been engaged barely a month when this picture was taken.
We thought this was brilliant. We've got the lovely William and Kate. We've got the amazing American and Meghan Markle. She's making our favourite prince, Harry, really happy. And of course, every newspaper loves a little bit of alliteration. So the Fab Four were born.
These four young people who are passionate about mental health, about working with young people, homeless, women's issues, all these various charities, and doing it together. At this point, in 2017, this was the future of the royal family.
Ironically, this iconic picture of the two young couples was not taken by one of the many photographers who were in the pen in front of the church, for the very good reason that they were facing in the wrong direction. The families walk from behind, and a very lucky lady stepped forward with her smartphone, click, click, got the shot.
This precious moment involving the royal family's glamorous new generation became an overnight sensation. But it may never have existed at all were it not for Karen Anvil, a single mum from Norfolk, taking her starstruck daughter to greet the royals as they went to church at Sandringham.
My name's Karen Anvil. I live in a small village near Kings Lynn in Norfolk, and I took the Fab Four photo at Sandringham on Christmas Day 2017. My daughter was adamant we were going.
The appearance of the royals triggered a pulse of excitement that raced through the crowd.
You can hear the noise of everybody wishing them a Merry Christmas. They're saying good morning, Merry Christmas. And I've got quite the face, the big cheeks, and I just went, Merry Christmas, but they turned around and sort of were amused.
Karen caught the exact moment when the young royals responded to her cheerful greeting.
What's remarkable about that photograph is for a member of the public to get three members of the royal family looking at you. I mean, it's ideal to do that. And the press wouldn't have got that, because the press are lucky if you get one of them looking at a camera, but to get three looking is an amazing achievement.
Kate was a little bit in her element here. The pitch-perfect regal Duchenne smile relaxes a bit, and we get almost the first glimpse of what Kate does now a lot, which is a much more dimpled, authentic smile. she just looks completely delighted.
What stands out for me is Princess Catherine was genuinely happy. The expression that she has on her face is one of warmth and connection, and it's genuine. My photo, it's an honest representation of Princess Catherine, from my point of view.
The country had its hopes pinned on the Fab Four to help shape a remarkable future for the royal family. But behind the scenes, the relationship between the couples was under strain.
Harry has said in his autobiography that he didn't feel he had his brother's support when he announced he was getting married to Meghan. William was concerned that the engagement was happening too quickly and that his brother was moving too fast.
There is no doubt that very quickly Catherine and Meghan didn't hit it off. Whose fault it was, it's hard to tell.
Meghan's from the West Coast, okay? She's an LA girl. You don't plop her in the middle of, Frogmore or whatever, or Windsor Great Park, where it's dark, it's cold, that's enough to make anybody from LA depressed.
And Harry wouldn't agree with this, of course. But I think it's generally accepted that Meghan's presence within that royal circle became very disruptive.
The Fab Four relationship disintegrated once Harry and Meghan were married and proclaimed Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Within 2 years, they'd stepped back from royal duties and were living in America.
I think it's incredibly disappointing and a real missed opportunity that we don't have the Sussexes within the fold of working royals. A complete missed opportunity to allow the Sussexes to do things differently. Yes, it hadn't been done before, doesn't necessarily mean that it's wrong.
The relationship between the Sussexes and the rest of the royal family is currently at rock bottom. There seems little chance of a Fab Four reunion anytime soon.
I was speaking to someone who knows both of the brothers very well, who remains optimistic that one day there can be some healing, this rift can be repaired, but the emphasis is on time and it's not going to happen anytime soon.
Despite the complexities of these royal relationships, Kate has acted with grace and decorum. Her life in pictures has seen her face many challenges, not least having her sense of style scrutinised and copied by millions around the globe.
This young woman who now, as the Princess of Wales, follows in very famous footsteps of probably the most famous and stylish icon ever, Diana.
Few people in the world are photographed as often as Kate, the Princess of Wales. And during her 2 decades in public life, her qualities of quiet confidence and devotion to duty have endeared her to the British people. She's also hugely valued within the royal family. And nowhere was this more clearly demonstrated than in 2021, in this tender greeting with her father-in-law, Prince Charles.
The thing that strikes you with this photograph is it's just the obvious warmth between the two of them.
That greeting is the gesture of two people who just really, really like and love each other. It's a wonderful thing to see.
The photo was taken in September 2021, when the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge attended the world premiere of the latest James Bond blockbuster, No Time to Die, at the Royal Albert Hall in London. They were joined by the Prince of Wales and the Duchess of Cornwall, leading to the embrace between Charles and Kate. The moment was captured by Chris Jackson, Getty's official royal photographer.
For me, that's a perfect Chris picture because it shows a very personal, close relationship between Kate and Charles. He's the future king at that point. He's someone that there's a certain amount of deference to, of course, but Kate is doing something in public. She's got her hand on his shoulder in a way that I don't think we would have seen before, and Chris has just caught that moment perfectly.
He's holding her arm, and that moment between the two of them was absolutely stunning, because for me, this pose showed how much he has learned gradually to trust Kate. And now they have the deepest relationship, and I think that was very visible here. And even the fact that Kate is higher looking down at him as well, so he's not even bothered about status. He just absolutely adores her.
Such a happy, informal greeting points to just how much Kate's reassuring presence is valued by Charles.
I think Kate's very steadfast. She takes her job very seriously. She takes her position very seriously, and Charles really, really appreciates that.
Charles acknowledges just how devoted Kate is to the royal family and how dependable she is.
There's something about her quiet stoicism, the fact that she doesn't do drama, the fact that she gets on with the job.
And I think Charles absolutely recognises that in Kate and sees similarities between Kate, Queen Elizabeth II, and of course Princess Anne, the hardest working royal, who is the epitome of keep calm and carry on.
She's wonderful, and she's an oasis for him. You can tell he's really, really fond of her and extremely happy that she's part of their family.
I think this photograph just shows that Kate is very much the daughter that Charles always wanted and didn't have. You can see that in that energy, the way they're holding each other.
Charles always liked Kate. He took to her very quickly and very fondly. She became, in his words, my beloved daughter-in-law. And it captures the affection that they share. And that affection has grown over the years.
Despite coming from markedly different backgrounds, Charles and Kate have bonded over many shared interests.
I think in some ways Kate may have more in common with her father-in-law than William has with his father. They share a similar taste in music, for classical music, for opera. They share a love of the ballet, of dance.
They have very similar interests in art, in photography, in culture, and he really enjoys talking to her.
The warm-hearted photo from the Bond premiere not only highlights the deep connection between Charles and his daughter-in-law, it also showcases Kate as the most glittering of royal stars.
Kate looks like a Bond girl. She looks like a movie star. She's in this beautiful, glittering gold Jenny Packham cape-inspired dress, which is just stunning.
She would have knocked any of those film stars off the red carpet because she looked so wonderful and very much soaking up all the attention on the night.
In an outfit worth a reported £3,000, Kate even outshone James Bond himself. It demonstrated just how much she'd learned to embrace her royal status.
When you consider that she was actually a very reluctant clothes horse many, many years ago, she was happier in a pair of cords and a jumper, and then you contrast that with this young woman who now, as the Princess of Wales, follows in very famous footsteps of probably the most famous and stylish icon ever, Diana, and Kate's putting her own stamp on it.
Not only is Kate an elegant member of the royal family, she also brings tremendous support and loyalty to the British fashion industry.
In 2021, it was estimated that the Princess of Wales is worth about £1 billion to the fashion industry. And we know that when she wears something, everybody wants it, whether it's a copy, whether it's an actual thing. She wears things from smaller brands to support them. She wears high street stuff as well. She supports British designers.
She sticks with those who have dressed her for years, whether that's Jenny Packham, whether that's McQueen. She's deeply loyal to the fashion houses and the designers who have dressed her and dressed her well.
This photograph showcases Kate's role as a style icon and a confident royal on the world stage, while also capturing a moment of deep affection between family members. Her growing confidence and willingness to share tender moments would continue to be reflected in future iconic images. A perfect example was snapped on Wednesday, the 7th of September, 2022. When Kate and William accompanied their children, George, Charlotte and Louis, on their first day of their new school, Lambrook.
Welcome, George. Welcome to Lambrook. Hello, Louis. Welcome. And welcome, Charlotte. Lovely to have you with us.
And the press were allowed to cover this precious family time.
This is just a wonderful, candid picture. They look like a very carefree, happy, normal family. No designer dresses here. This is high street fashion. This is sort of pared down elegance. I mean, they look like they're stepping out of a Boden catalogue.
Experts believe that this photo reveals much about Kate as the matriarch of her young family, as both the caring mother and loving wife.
We are so used to her doing this perfect smile. She's got the sort of truly scrumptious, that kind of perfect parent look about her. But I also love with her body language that there's a sense of firmness there as well. I love the way that Kate and William are exchanging a glance over the children's head. Nobody is left out in this family unit.
What I love about the picture is that Catherine is absolutely clear and understands the destiny of her eldest child. She knows. She protects him.
The first day of school picture is just one of those rites of passage. And I think, in terms of the royal family, for them, that's both personal, but also there's a very public perspective to it as well because of the public interest in the royal family.
As her children have grown, Kate has strived to balance the public and private nature of their lives, always conscious of learning from mistakes of the past relating to the press.
This image and similar images of William and Kate with their children contrast, I think, really with the childhood of William and Harry, because in those days, for instance, when they started school, there was a great party of press, about 150 press opposite the school, which was really daunting. William and Kate with their children, there's usually just one photographer and one film crew allowed, so that I think they've learnt from those lessons of the past.
This more relaxed, controlled photo symbolises Kate's constant desire for her children to be protected from the glare of the media.
This marked the Cambridges' move from London, Kensington Palace, to Windsor. Kate had said to me, actually, she felt that Kensington Palace was a little bit of a gilded cage. You are right on Kensington High Street. They didn't feel like they had a huge amount of privacy. In this move to Windsor, to Adelaide Cottage, they were protected within the private curtilage of Windsor Castle of the Great Park. You can't get into it unless you have a pass or you live on the estate. So it afforded them much more privacy.
Royal observers have seen the results of Kate's nurturing motherhood. The early years of George, Charlotte and Louis have been settled and content, in contrast with those of their father, Prince William.
His own childhood was very disrupted because of the separation of Charles and Diana and the often acrimonious atmosphere between the parents, which you get in a split. So I think they've been determined to create a solid foundation for their children.
This picture graced many newspaper covers on the 8th of September 2022, but the happy scene was overshadowed by news of the death of the Queen at Balmoral Castle. The image captures a moment of happiness for Kate and her children as they were about to face their destiny. Kate's next challenge would be to strike exactly the right note on one of the biggest and most important days for the royal family in more than 70 years.
Certainly, the coronation is a hugely important event. I mean, images of that are going to last right through history, so it's very important to get it right.
From the moment she met her prince, Kate knew that she would always be a subject for photographers' lenses, and that it was her destiny to one day be queen. The passing of Queen Elizabeth II and the accession of her father-in-law, King Charles, brought her destiny further forward and signalled her new title as Princess of Wales. The next photograph in Kate's timeline, taken in 2023, reveals the princess on the cusp of fulfilling her destiny.
This version of Kate Middleton is the closest we've ever seen to her being queen. And I think we are seeing someone definitely who looks elegant, who looks graceful, who looks poised, and who is absolutely grown into what royal life demands of her.
The photo was taken on a momentous day. The first time in 70 years that Britain would witness the crowning of a new monarch, King Charles III. As the Prince and Princess of Wales waited for the procession to enter Westminster Abbey, Kate turned for a moment, and this striking image was captured.
I think when you look at this photograph, all of the qualities that have stood Kate in such good stead in her journey from Kate Middleton to Princess of Wales, those qualities of grace, dignity, devotion to the crown, that calmness, all of that is so evident in this photograph.
It was absolutely tipping it down with rain that day. You know, aides are holding umbrellas and she's got to make sure the kids are okay.
And yet she looks incredibly calm and nothing's going to ruffle those feathers.
Her body language is handled magnificently. Here we're seeing a much more regal look. It was for a more serious occasion, but again, looking absolutely magnificent and confident. You know, this is a swan going through the water.
Whilst the photo shows Kate as a future queen, it also represents a clear link with the past.
The late Queen, Queen Elizabeth, had made Catherine a Dame Grand Cross of the Royal Victorian Order. It was in the monarch's gift to give, and it was a sign of her affection to Kate, but also a recognition of the great job the Queen thought she was doing. So Kate's wearing these robes.
She has chosen to wear red, white and blue. I think that's all very, very deliberate. There's so much messaging in what she's wearing.
She's wearing this incredible Alexander McQueen gown with the robes over the top, and Princess Charlotte was wearing a mini-me version, which was really cute as well.
Both mother and daughter also wore matching floral headpieces, an understated touch for a coronation sensitive to a Britain in the midst of austerity.
I know that Charles had said, look, we don't want too much finery on display, but I think most people would say actually Kate got it just right.
Kate wore a silver headdress which was designed by Jess Collette and McQueen for both Kate and Princess Charlotte, and it's not as showy as a crown, so I think it fitted the mood of the coronation.
I thought she looked like a Greek goddess, and I thought she managed to sidestep the lack of tiara with a very, very smart headpiece that still looked very regal, but also gave a nod to the kind of green nature of the coronation.
The silver leaf headpiece showed Kate's desire to comply with the significance of the occasion.
The great thing with Kate is she always dresses and appears appropriately, and certainly the coronation is a hugely important event. I mean, images of that are going to last right through history, so it's very important to get it right. Her hair is immaculate. She always looks fantastic. She's a very important and appropriate asset to the royal family.
Everyone sees her as, you know, demure, relatively sweet, quiet, and I'm sure she is. But that photo is a photo of a woman who knows her rank in that family. She gets it, she understands it. She is the second lady of the land after the Queen Consort. She's number 2. She's telling everybody, I'm not here in a pretty dress, people. I'm the next queen, everybody. Hello. And I like it. I like that attitude. I think that's, I am next. Next time you're in here, it'll be me.
As our new king and queen consort greeted the crowds From the balcony of Buckingham Palace, the Prince and Princess of Wales and their children remained a notable presence.
That key moment of them standing alongside the King and Queen, this is the support act, but this is also the future. That's what that image is showing. This is the future of the monarchy.
Because actually, the next time that will happen is when they become monarchs, and we'll be seeing them both in a very different light.
This iconic picture represented a seemingly secure and stable future for the British monarchy. No one could foresee the challenging times ahead that would cast doubt over just how secure that future would be.
This is a young woman in the peak of her life, very fit, very sporty, laid low by something that, 1 in 2 of us will suffer from. It was a huge shock.
Friday, the 22nd of March, 2024. From the gardens of the Royal Estate at Windsor, the Princess of Wales issues a rare but shocking video message.
In January, I underwent major abdominal surgery in London, and at the time, it was thought that my condition was non-cancerous. The surgery was successful. However, tests after the operation found cancer had been present.
Everyone that watched that video was deeply shocked by what she was saying. Of course, we didn't know that she was suffering from cancer, that she was going through treatment, but that video announcement, I think, took the world by surprise.
This is a young woman in the peak of her life, very fit, very sporty, laid low by something that, 1 in 2 of us will suffer from. It was a huge shock.
A striking photograph was lifted from Kate's video, which has now become part of her life in pictures. Not only did it dominate the British media, but it was carried by news organisations all over the world.
The morning after, I went through overseas newspapers, and it was actually covered, that story, in 5 continents. And the places were quite amazing, places like Ecuador, Belize, Japan, all of Europe, the Commonwealth. It's a new public way of sharing information that this photograph marked, I think.
I think the power and the strength of her sitting by herself, looking composed and telling the public directly what was happening was a very important moment for Kate. Despite her regal composure, I think that was when people did become extremely worried for her.
When I look at that picture, I kind of forget that we're talking about a princess. What we're talking about is a woman of 42 with 3 children who's been diagnosed with cancer. All I feel for her as a human being is enormous sympathy.
Royal experts are certain that Kate, true to form, carefully chose both the location and her clothes to ensure her message was simple and clear.
She's not gone for great designer labels. She's not showing that she's separate from us. I think it's deliberate that she's thought that she'd wear something quite normal that anybody could wear. It sort of reduces that difference between her and us.
The way that it was shot outdoors as well, you've got the trees and the bench and everything. This isn't her sitting in a palace or her sitting in an office or something like that. It tended to give a more hopeful message, a more positive message.
Kate was forced to issue the video to close down intrusive social media speculation about her whereabouts. She had been out of public view for 3 months, receiving medical treatment at the London clinic.
There was a threat that information from her medical records could be leaked. Perhaps they were being traded for cash. So it was about getting ahead of that story. There was also this vacuum of information that sprung up lots of misinformation. And I think she wanted to get ahead of that narrative also.
Social media kind of took off. No one had seen Kate. Was she okay? What was going on? Why wasn't the palace telling us anything?
It sort of gathered momentum in the most grotesque way online, with everyone wading in, from celebrities to members of the public.
In the United States, types of illness were being openly discussed on TV, news programs, and so forth. She didn't deserve what happened to her.
While Kate was having abdominal surgery and starting her chemotherapy, King Charles was in the same hospital, receiving treatment for an enlarged prostate and an undisclosed form of cancer. This in turn led Prince William to step back from public duties for several weeks to support his wife, children, and father.
It was a really, really difficult time for the House of Windsor. It was very destabilising, I would suggest. You had three of the most senior royals, William, Kate and Charles, out of action. And Camilla was kind of there, sort of, steadying the ship.
The experience of both the king and his daughter-in-law being diagnosed with cancer within weeks of each other, being in the same hospital at the same time, extraordinary. There were reports that Charles had sort of tottered along the corridor to go and see Kate when she was in her hospital room. This whole experience has brought them closer than they ever were.
There's certainly still a real air of mystery surrounding the cancer diagnosis and the preventative chemotherapy. We don't know exactly what these treatments are. Actually, we're not entitled to know. It really isn't any of our business, and I think that's okay.
By ending the media speculation, Kate's video and the powerful still image lifted from it brought Kate and her family the privacy they needed, along with time for the princess to recover out of the spotlight. Her next picture, 3 months later in June 2024, would bring a renewed sense of hope for her well-being.
I love this picture. I think this is one of the greatest pictures ever taken of Kate, because I think she looks so real. Her sleeves are rolled up. She's right in the heart of nature, where she is always happiest.
It's almost as though she is communing with nature here. It's as though she's thoughtful, maybe drawing strength from what's around her, the trees and nature and birds and the sky. I'm listening to myself. I'm going to allow me to tell me when the right time is to come back into public life again.
Kate has said she's not out of the woods, but she's getting better. It's a very good image, and I think it shows her in the right light. She looks calm, she looks relaxed, and she looks well.
For this charming woodland scene, Kate collaborated with another of her favourite photographers, Matt Porteous, and was in control of its release. This time, it was a prelude to the King's official birthday, Trooping the Colour, one of two events that saw Kate return to the public eye.
The applause for Kate when she stepped out on that balcony was rapturous. The people were so delighted to see her, and she looked delighted to be there. But also her appearance at Wimbledon, which was the only other time that she was seen this summer. Yes, of course, the crowds were there to watch the tennis, but they were also there for her. And when she was there, they stood up. There was a standing ovation, and I think she took as much from the crowd as she gave to them.
To the relief of her family, the nation, and the world, 2024 has witnessed an apparent upward turn in Kate's health. Her latest video is a feel-good montage of charming family imagery, accompanied by Kate's own thoughtful commentary.
The cancer journey is complex, scary, and unpredictable for everyone, especially those closest to you.
Just to look at her, you would have no idea what she'd been through. There is a sense of duty and loyalty, and she has been absolutely determined that life must go on as normally as it possibly can do for the children.
It was about duty and service to her children again. That nuclear family that she holds closely and holds so dear. I think part of the reason why she did this video was certainly for them.
To all those who are continuing their own cancer journey, I remain with you, side by side, hand in hand.
She says to all cancer sufferers and their families and their carers, you are not alone. And I think that endears her to a lot of people. She's a much more complex person than even she wanted to project to us. And I got a lot of respect for her.
Determination has been one of Kate's key characteristics throughout her life, and especially her life in pictures. She's been a devoted supporter of the royal family, and her work ethic has inspired the love of a nation. We've watched her take every calm and dutiful step towards her destiny as our future queen.
I think what comes across with the photographs is consistency. She's a class act that was there even on that catwalk at St Andrews in 2002. She's faultless in how she appears and how she behaves.
It's an evolution, how she's grown into these royal titles, how she's taken control of the narrative when it comes to the pictures of her children, and how she's really learned about duty and service and what that means at a difficult time.
She's endured enormous public attention and public scrutiny, but throughout it all, she's remained calm, she's remained dignified.
She represents hope, she represents the future through her, through William, through the dynasty.
She had placed herself as a matriarchal leader in the royal family, and that didn't happen by her coming in and bossing people or making changes or making her presence really felt. She's done it slowly and gradually and with a degree of understanding that I think probably a lot of people have underestimated. I call it Kate unfurling, but showing herself as an absolute true queen.